Marina City is one of the most incredible acts of architecture in the world. When you're in Chicago, you can't miss it. Its two towers loom prominently over the river or down bustling State Street, and they just look so unusual, hardly like buildings at all. In order to make sense of what we're looking at, people will often draw upon metaphors from nature to bridge the gap. Corn cobs, beehives. Even the complex's own architect, Bertrand Goldberg, said that the plan for the towers are like giant sunflowers. But Marina City is more than just towers you see along the river, and much more than just a strong visual statement. Those natural metaphors aren't just describing the way that the complex looks. It was designed with biological principles at its core, guided by geometric efficiency and organic growth. Marina City was also an enormous visionary experiment and a huge gamble that helped save the city of Chicago. Bertrand Goldberg and the entire team of architects, engineers, and developers conceived, designed, and built an entirely new way to live in the city.
And that gamble paid off big time by not only kickstarting population growth in downtown Chicago, but by offering a model for development that would be copied all over the world. And in this video, we'll explore Marina City, evaluate its incredible architectural design, discuss its complex engineering and construction, and reveal how all of these things came together to save the city from depopulation and become a model for mixed-use developments for years to come.
Marina City sits on the north side of the Chicago River, and it was conceived as a city within a city. It's a microcosm of sorts, offering a holistic mixture of amenities in a scaled-down urban configuration, all within a full-scale city of Chicago. Marina City was the first mixed-use development to include housing and business, all within the same complex. The housing component is contained within the upper two-thirds of the twin 587-foot or 180-meter tall towers. And the rest of the development is scripted around the variety of activities and needs that residents might encounter in their daily lives. You see, the buildings were designed during the 1950s in post-war Chicago, a time of extreme aversion toward living in cities. All of a sudden, high concentrations of people were targets of attack, as demonstrated in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Even Chicago's own director of city planning, Ludwig Hilbersheimer, developed strategies for dissolving the city into discrete neighborhoods, spaced just right so that prevailing winds wouldn't spread nuclear fallout between various pockets. Veterans returning home from war were starting families and moving into newly growing suburbs like Highland Park or Wheaton. This was also encouraged by the US government, who subsidized this flight. And downtown wasn't really a place to live anyway. It was a place for commerce and for manufacturing.
So this is the world that Marina City was designed for, but it wasn't designed to reinforce these trends. Instead, it was designed to fight against them. Its architects and its developers knew that the long-term viability of the city depended on people living there. They drew inspiration from the benefits of living in the suburbs while taking advantages of some of the opportunities of being able to live in the city. And they targeted the very middle-class families that were moving away. So here's the gamble. What if you could offer the unrestricted life of the suburbs, but within the compact and dense urban fabric? Can cities become desirable places to live for the middle class, ensuring the long-term viability of the city?
This was the challenge, and it was a big one. When they were built, the towers of Marina City were the tallest residential towers in the world. The top 40 floors of each tower hosts an array of studios, one-bedroom and two-bedroom apartments, 900 units in total. Alright, so let's start with the problem of 900 units floating in the air. The first goal is to get people up to their house, and this happens from one of 5 elevators or the stair located in the core of the flower shape. These connect below with a number of places to land and engage other parts of the complex in the city. The first place to land is your car, which might be located within the bottom 14 floors of the building. That's right, you can drive your car right up to the tower, 14 stories. You can get in and out without ever having to leave the building. Nowadays, it's valet controlled with a man lift to carry people between the floors.
But technically, you can drive your car right into your house in a detached garage in the suburban house too. So that's not enough to just attract people to move here. But now here's where this place really starts to be able to take advantage of its unique opportunities.
I mean, you're right at the river, so why not offer a marina that connects you to your house? That would put owning a boat within the reach of a traditional middle-class family. Most suburbs can't offer that. But there's more. Maybe you don't need to leave the complex at all if you don't have to. You could get off the elevator inside of the podium, where you'll find retail and restaurants and a grocery store. From here, you can also walk up into the other structures that are part of the development too. The first is on the far north end, a small tower for office and retail where residents of Marina City might work. Or if they don't, the income from that property can at least help support the overall budget and ensure its long-term viability. At night, you can catch a show at the stage venue located on the west side along Dearborn Street. Nowadays, it's called the House of Blues, where you might catch a comedy show or a Weezer concert.
While it might be a little bit unrealistic to think that all of your needs would be met 24/7, the mixture of programs and activities means that this place will be active all the time. That's unlike most of the Loop, which is usually just commercial or office towers that are pretty empty at night and on the weekends. And having a diverse set of income streams for a property like this is also a prudent goal for the future.
Weaving all these elements into a single design is no easy feat, and the complex is arranged like a still life painting. Each building has a unique character and identity, but share a set of common design attitudes and elements so that they cohere as a collection. The buildings only sort of line up, and only sort of respects the edge of the site. They often break from the expected alignments and axes and sit in a seemingly haphazard way, allowing people to flow all around. But this informality gives the arrangement vitality and life. The design elements that are shared between the structures are curvature and concrete. But not all of these structures have both curvature and are made of concrete. Instead, these two design elements offer a well of possibilities as themes to draw upon uniquely for each task. It's like a symphony that has recurring motifs that sprout up across individual compositions. The towers are like the fourth movement of the symphony where everything comes together. They feature curvature in both plan and in section, and they're made of reinforced concrete. In fact, these towers were the tallest concrete structures in the world when they were built. But the buildings are more than just structural engineering principles that are solidified into concrete. The design really takes advantage of the possibilities of what concrete can do that other construction methods like steel just can't do. And the design expresses these unique qualities at every turn.
Literally, concrete is a liquid that's poured into forms until it hardens. It is fluid that can easily create fluid forms, or forms where elements gracefully connect without seams. And that's exactly what's happening here in Marina City. Columns like this to my left turn on their side to become balconies, all within one single continuous gesture.
The formwork to pour the concrete into was made of reusable fiberglass forms. These smooth and modular forms meant that the concrete itself would be smooth, and their reusability meant lower costs. The textured finish was achieved by spraying colored marble chips into a rendering of sand and cement. This attitude toward the economy of form extends throughout the structure, which begins at the core and radiates outward equally in all directions. The round form of the towers create the most internally livable area with the least amount of external surface. The external envelope is where you lose heat or air conditioning, so if there's less of it, that's energy saved. The cylindrical shape is also the most efficient for distributing services like plumbing. It's also efficient for constructing from the center outward, so the core did double duty during construction. It was built first and became its own shaft for the crane as it grew. These motifs of concrete and roundness show up differently in the other structures as well. The stage is a saddle shape, ideal for uninterrupted spans, but it's made of a lattice of steel rather than concrete. The office tower, though, is made of concrete, and the roundness shows up in the arches that support the rectangular box above. Here, the concrete structure is mostly on the outside, allowing for interior spaces that are vast and unbroken.
Needless to say, this design represents a radical rethinking of urban design, architecture, construction, and urban lifestyles. And it was certainly not a case of if you build it, they will come. The marketing of Marina City was also completely unique.
People were not yet accustomed to living in tall towers, so the architects created a simulation of what it would be like to live in. They rented an entire warehouse and constructed a full unit of the building, complete with a wraparound mural, to replicate those fantastic views that you would get looking off of your balcony. The units then are almost like view cones toward the city.
Hey, welcome to my apartment.
Narrow at their entry and wide at their balcony. Rooms that require connections to the core, such as bathrooms and kitchens, are toward the middle, minimizing the length of pipes. Living spaces and bedrooms are toward the outside in order to take advantage of the incredible view. Bertrand Goldberg believed that this design had psychological benefits, since you wouldn't feel like an anonymous person living in a box. The minimal length of the corridor, coupled with the outward-oriented shape, would make you feel connected with the city outside, at the same time as having all the benefits of the city immediately accessible. This area of the city is called River North. Since the river is such a natural boundary, extending the city across it wasn't guaranteed. At the time of construction, this area had few tall buildings and was not part of the downtown or the loop.
This was part of a $1.5 billion plan to redevelop downtown Chicago, and this chunk transformed a former rail yard into a vital urban hub. Not only was it a seed to catalyze growth in this particular part of Chicago, it was a pilot project that was meant to be replicated across the country.
The experiment extended even into the way that the project was funded. Developers used union funds from the Building Service Employees International Union for its initial investment and development. The thought was that investing in the city where you work to build middle-class living conditions was good for its union members. Bertrand Goldberg, too, wrote a 2-page paper on how Marina City represented a new way of building and living in the city that should spread throughout the United States. He said people like to live closely and enjoy the work and the play, which is the byproduct of high-density living. Marina City, therefore, is the new plan for the balanced living which Central City must provide. Today, Marina City is a vibrant community to live in within the city of Chicago. The visionary life that was imagined by Bertrand Goldberg 60 years ago was one that the city and those in it have bought into and embraced. Aspects of the design have changed over the years, but the core idea remains, and has yielded an incredibly unique architecture that's embraced by even the most hardened skeptics.
And that's why this is one of my favorite places in Chicago.
Man, I absolutely loved touring Marina City, and I even got into one of its units, a 1-bedroom on the 49th floor with spectacular views. I spoke with the current resident about their favorite parts of living there. It is such a spectacular building. But unfortunately, I was only able to use a few of the snippets in this video. So I created an entirely new video, an extended cut, if you will, from the rest of the tour. It's exclusively uploaded on the streaming service Nebula, which, if you didn't already know, is a little something that I've been working on with a lot of your other favorite creators. It's where I and channels like Johnny Harris, Not Just Bikes, Sadie Beautiful, and dozens more upload our regular YouTube videos early, and we share the videos where we experiment with topics and techniques that aren't strangled by the YouTube algorithm. There are thousands of these videos, and they're completely ad-free. Nebula also features exclusive courses, originals, and game shows like Jetlag, so click on the link in the description, watch that extended tour of Marina City, and sign up for Nebula. And now if you sign up with my link, you'll get free access to Nebula classes, where our creators host classes on how to, well, be a creator. All the classes are taught by the folks here on Nebula, so you can learn how the Friday Checkout makes a video, or how Foreign tells stories, or how Patrick Willems make movies. Your favorite creators teaching you how they create. Great for aspiring creators or folks who just love seeing behind the curtain. It costs $2.50 per month when you sign up for a year with my code. You'll unlock access to the secret treasures of your favorite YouTube creators, and you'll be supporting me to be able to continue making content that explores the depths of the built environment.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have thoughts about Marina City, leave them down in the comment section below. I love engaging in the discussion. While you're around, check out some of these other videos which come out every other Thursday. See you over there.